Why do you believe art is important?
Right now, this year, especially that question, I think art is important because it's helping us cope with everything.
It's so much of an expression for people, and it can be sort of soothing. It can be, geez, I don't know. There's so many things art is.
I think art is everywhere and used in everything, especially now. Anything that's made took some sort of artistry. In man-made cars, chairs. It could be a calculator or a blow dryer. There's some kind of artistic involvement with that.
It's important for me because especially in these days with all the upheaval, it kind of takes you away. And I don't mean that as an escape kind of thing, but it's a very pleasant thing to be working on a realistic painting and stepping into a different reality.
Especially as an art educator right now, I mean, I think that it's extremely important, not just for the opportunity to create something, but for problem solving and for even just the idea of doing something that's relaxing for only the reason of doing it because you enjoy seeing beautiful things.
It's important to me, it's always been important to my practice to make my art as accessible as possible, making the medium I'm using as easy to understand as possible, talking about pricing in terms of a way that's sustainable for new collectors, so that we can have conversations around artwork that are meaningful and that we can work through really important social issues and family issues that relate to human life.
Art that is either beautiful or controversial. Art is to make you think, is to make you question. It's to hopefully not too often to validate something. It's supposed to push you a little bit. And I think that's the strength of art, whether it's visual or performance or music. It's to appeal. Composition and technique in my photography is very important to me. I'm not a photographer who just doesn't care about composition. I do. But at the same time, I like to create images that make you think a little bit or look a little closer.
Art is essential. It kind of helps us synthesize everything that we experience in our daily lives and help us process information. In a time when there's so many other confusing and scary things happening, I think art is an excellent way for people to kind of process the world around them and feel better.
For a couple of reasons. I mean, one, especially something like MOSAIC, where, it's almost like everyone has their mini solo show. You got 16 pieces and you have this vision. So it's a way that you can express yourself, to express a particular vision or a voice that you think is important to share. So it's that outlet for that. But just particularly during COVID, I mean, right now, artists' livelihoods have been upended in terms of what people have opportunities to do and to get their work out there. So just as the opportunity to present your work is something that's really important. And then my boss likes to say that arts are foundational to the human condition. And I mean, I think particularly with the community that we live in, there's such a vibrant part of what makes this region so special.
It's a wonderful question to ask, and you could either talk about it for 2 seconds, or you can talk about it for your life. But for me, and this has been asked me before, it's kind of, how do you define the love of your child? You just do. I mean, it's just something. It's on every molecule of your body. And I always use this as the analogy of hold your breath, for a few seconds, and then take that cleansing breath. That's what art is for me personally. It is breath. I could not live without it.
I think art is important for a laundry list of reasons. It can bring beauty into a world which is sometimes rather ugly. It can be a creative outlet for the artist. It can carry messages and emotions into the world that words sometimes have difficulty expressing. It can share issues in society that people sometimes have difficulty expressing themselves. It can serve as a witness for future generations, and I do think the art that we're creating today will definitely serve that purpose as we are living in a pretty unique time right now.
I believe it's important because it allows for creative thinking, for thinking outside the box. Learning basics of art make you have to think a little bit differently. If you're learning drawing techniques, you have to think a little bit how the shapes are different, how depth perception works. And I think that just, even if you're not in an art career, it leads you to be able to realize that's not the only, there's not just one way of looking at something, there's many different ways.
Art is important because of the freedom and the freedom of expression, whatever form that takes, really builds up the human spirit for the artist and the person viewing the artwork.
Good one. Art is very important. Creativity is very important. If you think about the world as a whole and our learning experience and our growth experience, so much of what we do is convergent thinking. We're trying to get to one right answer. Art and creativity is divergent thinking. There's not just one path to right. There's many, many paths to right. And art fosters that divergent creative thinking. And the scientists that are working right now on a vaccine for COVID-19, they're going to be finding those answers because they're thinking outside the box, they're thinking creatively. They're not looking at solutions that already exist necessarily, but how to put different and new things together. Anytime there's an advance in humanity and in culture, it's because of divergent thought. It's because of creativity, and art is one of the things that fosters that so well.
How much time do we have? Okay, so the most basic answer is that art is freedom. So, especially in the environment we're currently finding ourselves, where we feel possibly more constrained and more constrained, if I decide I want to paint an army of lollipops, I have the ability to do that. If I decide that I want to legally paint on a wall and spread joy throughout a community, I can find a way to do that. That is freedom. If I decide that I want to live in a world where bunnies talk to each other and they have friends that are other rabbits and hedgehogs, I can do that. That's freedom.
Wonderful, wonderful question, especially given the current pandemic that we have. I can't imagine a life without creativity in it. Creating art enables us to express emotions that we may not be able to vocalize. Art can be used as a form of communication. Painting is a form of therapy for me, especially if it involves painting with vibrant colors. Another series of artwork that I have focused on recently involves global warming due to climate change, whether it's forest fires in California, melting icebergs, rising sea levels, air pollution. We need to save our planet now. As an artist, I feel a responsibility to use my talents to bring about positive change.
Well, I can't imagine life without art. So, I do the visual arts, and but there's art, music, there's theater, poetry. If you take that all away, life would be so empty.
I know that for me, part of the reason that art is important is because it slows us down. Whether or not we're creating or we're observing, we have to pause, which is counter to most of what our lives are like, probably a lot like what our COVID-19 life is like. But for most of us, it takes a reason to pause, and creating art gives that opportunity.
Arts have always been part of disaster resiliency, community building, frontline responders. So I think it's an important thing that we not only celebrate, but support as any way we can.
Even though art is not a material need, I think right now it's helping people just get through a really hard time and remind us of what connects us and makes us human.
Yeah. I think you can't live without it.
It could also be, I want you to know about this issue, or I want to try to change your mind, or document something that happened. And I think it's important too, because we look at ancient cultures and that's how we understand who they were, how they dressed, what they thought was important, the events that happened. And then for the viewer, you're getting all of that. You're getting information, or you're getting emotions.
Art is an expression, the most basic expression of being human. We connect with things we see every day. It's a way of reaching across boundaries, across the world, reaching out to people that we don't know.
I mean, it can create controversy. It's such a wide spectrum, and it brings people together. But I think at the same time, it has the ability to separate people. So I just think art has so many things about it that are good.
Art gives us that opportunity to look at how somebody else interpreted the world, or how we ourselves do it while we're creating art. I also think that it unifies us, both because we could be looking at the same piece of art and we have that common experience, but there are themes of art and designs and textures that come from different cultures, and we can learn about those cultures and those people and appreciate them more, I think, when we learn about their art.
Art speaks from the soul.
It can be something simple as I saw something really beautiful and I just wanted to share it with you, like how the light is hitting this flower, to I'm working through emotions today and I wanted to use art to do that.
Probably the reason that is most important to me, that I think is art is so crucial, is simply that it brings joy.
I also think that it's therapeutic, both to observe art and to create it. There are things that I know that as a writer, I know only because I write it out and I discover what I feel and what I think. But I have found that also to be true, especially while working on the wheel, but also while hand building with ceramics, that there is a way in which you pause, you can observe, and then all of that brings you to some new conclusions. At the very least, it's appreciation and thankfulness, I think, that I notice things around me that I might in a fast-paced life just ignore. And the most important things, of course, are those things that it's easy to ignore. But
so I'm not really exactly what your question was. I lost the question, but I'm inspired and moved by just life, everyday things, and try to paint everyday things in a way that everything deserves a little bit of moment, So that's kind of the philosophy behind it, and just that I love to do it.
Great.
At the end of the day, 171 has stayed the same in its mission to connect with the people of this community and create something for the good of all age groups, kids, adults, and I really feel fortunate to be part of that.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to have my work at 171.
I hope that 171 Cedar Arts has a fantastic MOSAIC fundraiser this year.